Duxford. So just a few minutes to go before we see that. The way is set, and a big hello, shout out for one or two folks who happen to be with John Windover out there on the ocean. One of those sloops out there, I believe, today. He and I are involved with a marvellous charity called Airability. And you've heard so much about charities just during the show, but this is a great way to give disabled individuals, whether you're military or not, it doesn't matter, whatever your background, even if it's the sort of disability you can't even see, Airability is there to give you the experience of flight. And it has transformed many, including our latest astronauts. But right now, eyes to the skies. And that's fantastic water club, one of the largest of its kind in the world. And if I can do anything good today, it is to encourage many of you to get on board with that team of volunteers and others who help support these hugely important airplanes in the public health. Maintained by Chief Engineer Darryl Chaplin and the team of volunteers, influenced by experienced volunteers and professional partners. Today in the hands of John Corley, alongside the leader Kaiser. Both of them amassed thousands of hours flying a variety of historic airframes and of course commercial aircraft as well, all around the world. And a real joy I know it is for them to be able to show and demonstrate this aircraft to you today. Backed by the registered charity, the B-17 Charitable Trust. This particular B-17G was built at Lockheed Vega production line at Burbank, California in the spring of 1945. Out of the 12,731 flying fixtures built, Sully B is one of a mere handful of survivors. The last remaining airworthy B-17 in Europe. Going off the bomb bay there is that bottom side pass, wonderfully preserved and looking just beautiful. Even looks better when you've got a little bit of cloud in the sky, doesn't it? It's a wonderful backdrop for all you photographers out there. This particular flying fortress never saw active war service, but was one of the last B-17s to be built and didn't join the fleet of the US Army Air Force until about June 1945. From then on she embarked on a test career with what was then the very uniformed United States Air Force with modifications, the manned pod on one of the wingtips. And once all those tests were completed, she was no longer required and all that equipment was removed and off it went to await disposal. Luckily for us, however, we see it flying here today. And that has taken a monumental amount of time, effort, and of course money as well. If we went to the the fleet of B-17s who brought the survey work. After many years in France, the aircraft was bought, however, by Ted Watt, restored in wartime condition, and then suddenly after his partner, who I mentioned, Eddie Sutton. The first operations of V-Day flypast over the city of London, and also flew at one stage to Poland for the official commemorations of the 1944 Warsaw Uprising. Never easy to keep a massive warbird like this in the air though, having suffered a whole series of setbacks and engine problems, demanding a lot of additional commercial and volunteer support. The engines being replaced at one stage, and then other engine failures happened after that, but that's back to health and action again with the help of a major benefactor, Bertie Ashby, who in 2008 donated a piece of land to help keep Sunny B flying. Some of you may have visited SLBIA as well as in France. One friend with American registered aircraft means that they cannot sell passenger rights as you can get in Spitfires these days. Then it needs every help that she can get. Hence, the registered charity and the only C-17 runs based on public donation and true love and passion. It is you people out there and of course our past forebears who've helped to support this, and I'd like to pass on Sally's appreciation for all that you have done to contribute to the upkeep of this particular aircraft. And it remains a tribute to the many who lost their lives fighting for our freedom. Many of that generation will of course be gone very, very sadly. We have just a couple here with us today up on the western lawns. But without keeping these aircraft flying, such as others you've also seen today, those memories will just disappear. So you can help by donating to the Sally G here. And here I should say, all the money goes directly to supporting this aircraft and ensuring that the entity stays in the air. So this goes to sallyg.org.uk. You will have noticed by now the very large D on the sail here, and that's the new marking this year. It is a month or so ago, a famous square D of the 100th bomb group, the Bloody 100, as it's known. And that connection sits neatly with the 100th Air Refuelling Wing based at RAF Mildenhall, a direct descendant of the Bloody.
Just by the western lawn.
There's the first drop, and just extraordinary amount of water. I'm guessing much of that will evaporate before it reaches the sea. But you can see now the agility of this great aircraft. Over 1,200 of these were built in various versions for both anti-submarine warfare and utility work. The type was also developed into what was referred to as the C-1 Trader Transport, and also the E-1 Tracer, one of the early AWACS, the Airborne Warning System aircraft. Originally powered by a pair of radial engines, some were updated with turboprops, and they became known as the turbo trackers. And would you believe some of these still in recent service with the Argentinian Navy? It was replaced in the US Navy by the S-3 Viking. And many ex-US Canadian aircraft found their use in civilian life, having been converted to firebombers by Conair, hence the naming of this aircraft. Oh, and look, there goes another one. Great drop. This is splendid. And look at the agility as well. It's almost disappears off on night passes. It's a really terrific machine, really, really agile. So that's how it ends up with its name, originally starting out as an S2 Grumman tracker, becoming a Conair Firecat. It was fitted with a fire retardant tank into the torpedo bay just under the fuselage, and so the aircraft, hence it's certainly agility when it's got no load on board, but it's also lighter because they removed all the military equipment as well. First entered service with the Canadian authorities in 1978, and a further 14 were delivered to France in 1982 as firefighters operating by the Security Civil. Commanded today by a pair of enthusiasts who keep this extremely interesting aircraft in the sky. Nikash cockpit. They belong to a civilian group called the Amicale Linsonne des Avions Anciens, and known shortly as the Ackerman A3A. And it was them that completed the restoration of this ex-French turbo Firecat, number T15, which before that was an ex-US Navy S2F Tracker. And it was only completed its first phase as part of their static display. And I've seen it already earlier this year. I'm very pleased to see it again here, and I think a really good additional treat to the lineup at this 32nd Airborne show here in Eastbourne. Able to carry about 3,300 litres of water, so when dropped in one hit, you can imagine that is a substantial impact on any fire area, and such cases routinely in England anyway. But look at this lovely tight turns that it's able to make, and just the roll rate, even for such a big wing, is still pretty impressive, I think you'll agree. Essential, of course, it's this sort of work, of course, in the when for real is not for the faint-hearted. There's been one or two movies about it, and originally fitted with Wright's 1820 engines, but now with the incredibly popular and very reliable PP6 Pratt & Whitney turboprop engine. It's looking, I think you'll agree, surprisingly agile for a wingspan of over 70 feet. Now training with a smoke and accelerating extremely well. Oh, brilliant. Wave right past wing waggle. There go Nick Ash and her marvellous piece, and it just catching the sun on the top side there. Beautiful, beautiful picture. Nipping off into that wild blue yonder. An absolutely delightful aircraft. Well, that made a difference, and what do you make of that, Adam?
Yeah, something a little bit different, a little bit unique, wasn't it? So absolutely beautiful to see, and majestic over the seas of Eastbourne this afternoon. Much more to come. Waiting in the wings is not one, but
he will be missed by all who knew him. We remember him today as the favourite day of the year. Loving memory. Okay. And I think he would have just loved to have seen that wonderful arrival there, the roar of the Pratt & Whitney radial with the girls upside down sporting their acrobatic positions on the wing. Slightly different display coming today, leading from the front gate. Fowl, he's got Emma on the top of his wing, and behind him Brian Corns with the well-known Kirsten equally. So the girls just love this, lying on their sides now. Take a really, really good look at this. They're taking us right back to the interwar years when there were just so many steps and lots of us. And then this aircraft came along out of the factory and really wowed everybody. Lloyd Stearman establishing his company as early as 1927. We celebrated the magnificent men and women in their flying machines. Go upside down, inside out, and do an awful lot of formation flights, which is just really, really good news, because we don't always get to see them as there, because they fly on the bed, and with the addition of Brian, very sporting, they're an absolutely gorgeous aerodynamic company as well. This aircraft based up in Gloucestershire near Cirencester. Royal Flying Corps Rancombe itself, a very historic First World War airfield, deep in the countryside of Gloucestershire, and it is somewhere that you can have a go doing this. You may well have seen this story in the media recently about the 97-year-old lady. She didn't just complete her first, but it was her second go at wing walking, That has now gone viral around the world. You can have a go, or perhaps, better still, help raise some money for your favourite charity. All you have to do is go to gowinwalking.com or Airshow Supervalix and get involved. Now, coming up here now, great photo shoot opportunity. Oh, what a wonderful split that is. Absolutely perfect, classic Airshow Supervalix flying. And that lovely, lovely roar there. Now that is an additional change to the standard Stearman aircraft because they need extra power to get through the air. And why? Because there's a lot of drag on the upper wing when you put somebody on top of it. So that 450 horsepower coming out of that helps cut through any wind and sort of do that in the way, and it will also drive the massive nitro Hamilton propeller. When all the levers are forward and that is in fully fine, the tips won't go supersonic and that gives you that marvellous roar. The memories of flying circuses that used to take place, not without their hiccups of course. One of the founding leaders of this, Orman Locklear, he's the guy who ventured out on a wing for real to try and fix something that he was flying. He eventually became a carpenter himself. And wonderful. Past there, going through a little hump. See, now they push, they stick forward, just as if you're racking down a country lane and go over a humpback bridge. The stomach comes up to your mouth and then goes the other way again as they put back in a little bit of positive juice. So to help with the agility of these aircraft, they're also fitted with an additional pair of ailerons. Little bits you see manoeuvring on the outside edges of the wings, and that helps it to turn. So if you've got more of those, then there's more airflow to turn. It goes back on their sides again. Watch them carefully throughout the course of the display as we come up with another great photo opportunity. Once again, it's make all environmentally friendly stuff. It's a form of Baltic baby oil. You can wash your hands and face in this and have no effect. And I understand even the girls occasionally use it to put in their hair. So that caught somebody's attention, didn't it? It's true. Honestly, it is true. I was talking to her last night. Yeah. So there you go. Ondina is the name of it. There are several types. I understand it's not very cheap though. Now the girls get going with an acrobatic formation work, upside down, legs out to sea and up to the sky, and a nice wave. Now these girls are very competitive to get these jobs, getting on the top of a wing, and they have to work jolly hard to earn their place as well. Whenever there's an advertisement for a spare slot, they get inundated with requests. So Kirsten is the lead professional wing walker, and it's just her greatest love. She says it's not just a passion, not just a job. She just lives and breathes it, enjoying every bit. So performing effortless handstands and moving around the cockpit and being with the team well in excess of must be 10 years at least. However, many of them are already professionally trained in the skills required to be a wing walker. Kirsten started with all sorts of things like that, it's in her blood, but also was a professionally trained staff. She doesn't mind pulling 4G whether it's upside down or not. And one of the great performances during the solo was seeing them literally hanging in the air, in their straps, the pair of them, in opposite positions, Dave head down, and yesterday Emma with her head up in the crucifix position. Emma's been dancing since the age of 3 in all sorts of genres, but primarily ballet and jazz. And once again, her training has helped her perform many of the various positions they take up, such as the arabesque and goose. First position still actually closely aligned with the harness, And that is the first of their manoeuvres when they wander around the top of the lights of Orma and Nokia has, and his famous print that was there many years ago. There with the arabesque. In this one you can see the feet of the girl literally right in front of the head of the pilot. Accompanying Dave up there on his wing is Brian Corns. Got involved with aeronautical world, starting gliding at the age of 14, flying solo in an aeroplane at the age of 16. He's a qualified aeronautical engineer, and he's built helicopters and engines. Long to join the Royal Air Force. He's got well over 13,000 hours. He flew in the Royal Air Force for 23 years, flying a multitude of different aircraft, from single-seat fast jets to multi-engine transport aircraft. He also competed in the British Aerobatic Championships for many years, often flying his own home-built aircraft. Both the guys know, however, what a great privilege it is to be flying these wonderful aircraft. Reliving the love, passion and flair of yesteryear. They come by now, a wonderful fly past. You can see the girls now dropped down into the cockpit, their safety position for getting home. Of course, pilots in most tail wheel biplanes all sitting. He ignites with a couple of little levers, those two little extra jet engines, and they'll just forward of his cockpit position just before the main piston engine itself. Two little jet engines producing 350 horsepower each, not just accelerating him, but propelling him upwards, straight up into the sky. It is a mini Typhoon in many respects, given the power to weight ratio this has got, which is 1 to 1.1, and thus giving him the opportunity and the power to exceed the weight of himself and the aircraft combined. You can see him eloquently doing that by throwing in a few rolls as well, letting it tumble and spin just momentarily before he recovers that quickly. To use this dive down now to add additional energy to the speed of the aircraft, and that's what helps propel it. 6G, rolling it as it climbs at the same time, continue the aircraft around about half a circle, which is about 180 degrees, come around the corner a bit more, and then pull out. It's not a pleasant position at all, it's very uncomfortable indeed, but as Chief said, something you've got to train yourself for consistently to keep yourself right up there on the top. It's a bit like being a Formula 1 driver, and instead of doing it for 2 hours, you get to do this for about 8 minutes. You know the difference. Tracing this aircraft back to its roots, though, it was way back in the 40s that Curtis Pitts designed this aircraft. His first special was 1942. He built down near Jacksonville, Florida, initially powered by a 90 horsepower Franklin. Look what he set it up. So, Bertie, you are alive today to see how this aircraft was developed, what a legacy he left behind with that original design. Very famous, each of his aircraft on the ground, they favoured by a lady, another woman in aviation back in those days, Betty Skelton. The little stinker still hanging in the Smithsonian Museum today, rightfully upside down. Many of them built as a home English, in fact initially designed as a home-built aircraft, and many of them were installed for aircraft. Refining it year by year. By the 60s, the normal engine had been increased to 180 horsepower version, and symmetrical airfoils were introduced as well, and that makes inverted flight characteristics exactly the same as your upright flying characteristics. The additional change, well not a change, but additional help and unique facility of this particular airplane is that of course you get lift off the aircraft as well. Now here is climbing up the board to a Christmas. It's just a prettier way to environmentally friendly baby oil. He uses this as an aesthetic way of climbing up to the height and getting off downward, using those jet engines to get increased speed as they climb and go round and round at the same time. He hits and matches a whole range of different manoeuvres throughout this, including his double hammerheads, torque rolls, backwards flight, high alpha, night edge passes, and of course, hovering like a hammer. He's an exceptional performer. He's got aviation in his DNA, I should say. His father was a well-known hunter, display pilot, which in himself to tornadoes before then going into commercial use. Outstanding, still extremely light-trailing 300 with the addition of those two additional jet turbines as well, giving him a total thrust of 1,700 pounds. The airplane itself, with the additional ailerons fitted in, a big top wing with big ailerons fitted, providing G limits of plus or minus 6 as the pilot can withstand, and a much greater logo position. The youngster surprisingly spent many years in aerobatic flying himself. Started out with Christian Eagle when I first met him 20 years ago, and it's just got better and better and forever cruising in a straight line. Level altitude, using the power, trying once more. There we go. The jet engine. Flying away. Brilliant performance. You can't imagine just how exhausting this must be. And as I say, not for the faint-hearted. It takes many, many years to get to this level. But at the same time, we've got a great understanding of the airplane. Here he goes down, on his final departure, reaching the sky, flying on the front, and a solid power is as formless as aerobatic jet. Richard Goodwin in the jet.
And if you look to the side, Christian, one day on climbing into a nice wing over into the Royal Navy Black Hats. First Black Hats is Navy flag. Black Hat is flying. Alexander The aircraft today is called Black 1, crewed by Lieutenant Commander Jim Fraser at the right-hand seat. Strong and left-hand body observer in the left-hand seat. While Captain May was on to all Navy visual operations from frigates, destroyers and aircraft carriers, Jim commanded a fast, flexible, heavily armed aircraft with confined track, strike correct from the air, on the water and below the waves. Drones, fast track crafts and uncrewed surface vessels appeared quickly to stretch different range, wildcats built to win that fight. The crew can search identified track targets by day or night, with a raft of high-end sensors before engaging the threat with its missiles, liquid powder gun, or a Royal Marine sniper and torpedoes. In March of this year, Royal Navy Wildcat helicopters deployed to Cyprus to help British sovereign base areas and bolster the air defence in the region. HMS Dragon was also deployed with a Wildcat helicopter to defend the area. It's now in the Middle East working alongside the French carrier strike group, providing force protection and defensive options for our allies out there, as well as merchant shipping, so critical for us here at home. And it's not just to these Wildcat operations. Native fast routes extend to the western Atlantic by one of our aircraft carriers on the UK waters. This for our naval allies. Wildcat threat will be able to fly and fight foreign ships as well as British. Not on the aircraft today, but we can equip Spartan laser-guided missiles provide valuable anti-drone capabilities to protect our people and our FM stations worldwide. It also carries sea venom guided anti-shipping missiles, which helps counter bigger, more dangerous threats. Stingrays, torpedoes, steel submarines, fish counter guns, which have been active on many occasions to deal with narcotics and weapons smugglers. Today, together with the aircraft's sophisticated sensor suite, provides a potent maritime strike capability from Royal Navy ships and fleet. Replacing the Lynx Mark 8 Wildcat with more powerful engines that allow it to be flown in extreme weather conditions all year round. These engines enable it to lift unsmuggled loads up to a ton. No mean feat given the sizer and give the aircraft a top speed of 160 knots. The aircraft today is from 825 Naval Air Squadron, who are responsible for training all Wildcat pilots in the service, as well as engineers who end up aboard Royal Navy frigates and destroyers all around the world. Maritime Aviation Strike comprises 825 Naval Air Squadron, 815 Naval Air Squadron, Wildcat simulators, and the headquarters government. Bring those troops, they ensure that air crews, engineers, aircraft, equipment are ready to support the Royal Navy, both at home and anywhere in the world. In the right hand seat there we've got Lieutenant Commander Jim Fraser, who's the main pilot. Jim joined the Royal Navy in 2001, deployed on Operation Mediterranean, Baltic, Italy, Far East, Caribbean, South America and South Atlantic. 815 Naval Air already in the maritime strike as well. He went on to instruct with the Eastbourne Army Air Force and competed in the World Helicopter Championship in Russia. He worked with the Omani Air Force for 3 years in close air performance and search and rescue roles. His third Wildcat in 2017 is held both frontline and instructional roles with 815 and 825 Naval Air Squadron, including a period where he served as Lieutenant Commander flying out Royal Naval Air Station Gilberton before returning to Wildcat instructional duties with 85 early this year. In the left hand seat we've got Lieutenant Ollie Mendon, who's the display observer. Ollie joined the Royal Navy in 2012 and a non-graduate post a short career as kitchen and bathroom designer at the home base. Initially commissioning as a warfare officer, he spent the beginning of his career driving warships and hospital watch. Prior to being selected for reserve training. Receiving his wings in July 2021, he went on to deploy to the Mediterranean, Far East and High North, with a variety of Royal Navy vessels and 815 Naval Air Squadron. He has since returned to 85 and qualified as server instructor, Squadron Operations Officer. Leading on the team on the ground is Warrant Officer Nick Cullen, who joined the Royal Navy in 2020. Serving worldwide at sea with the aid of large Naval Air Following installation and transition to the Wildcat Maritime Force, he served as senior maintenance operations of 815 Naval Air Force, including as a foreign lady in conducting counter-narcotics operations. He later returned to 825 Naval Air Squadron, lead engineer, Royal Navy Black Helicopter Station. next final airshow, Blackcat, recent promotion, was a new role within the Royal Navy. And he's being replaced by Chief Petty Officer, retired MBE. Now we come to the final part of the display. Once more, everyone gives a big wave to our 2026 Royal Navy Black.
You've got the trip by now, so enough of that chit-chat, and let's move on to another icon of the sky, which of course is the notable Spitfire. And as we referred to earlier on in the day, it is a very special year for Spitfire because we are celebrating 25 of combat crashes that occurred, aircraft limping home from missions over northern France, all based on this outstanding machine. Well over 20,000 of them produced in well over 22 different marks of airframe, the production line that went on and in service right through to the mid-50s, but now there are more flying in this country, well over 30 aircraft, and many of them committed from the Castle Bromwich factory in the autumn of that year, and then joined 39 maintenance units on the 3rd of January 1945. First operational posting, however, was to Marlborough 103 Squadron based at Chilbolton in June 24, before going on to 234 Squadron at Bentwaters in August, before its subsequent sale to the South African Air Force. Speed, power, elan, charisma of this machine put fear into many an enemy pilots, and of course the design absolutely spot on, uniquely framed, delights, a real pleasure to fly, and a lovely topside part to help you enjoy. So it's been very long days, and we're talking about how tricky it can be to taxi and operate these burnings. Of course also you need to be suffering from overheating many times, you have to be very cautious. But handling controls, absolute delight. The roll rate's wonderful, climb rate, and of course the speed of the laser machines, MIT with the different engines, a real wow factor. So after being served with the Air Force, lay derelict for many years, and returned to the UK in 1989 and went through a complete rebuild with airframe assemblies on the Isle of Wight. Purchased by Peter Monk back in 1997, himself a local Kent man, and with his business partner they decided to buy it as the Kent Spitfire, the Spirit of Kent. That flies in memory of number 131, County of Kent Fight Squadron, a wartime squadron that was purchased with money donated by the good people of that county. It was in fact the first county in the UK to provide money for an entire squadron in recognition of the fact that each aircraft had the name of Kent City or town emblazoned on the fuselage, with the commanding officer's aircraft always being referred to and named the Spirit of Kent. The squadron itself disbanded in 1944, never having flown actually from the Kent airfield itself. They were dispersed around the country at different airfields. One aircraft did manage to get into Biggin Hill to refuel in Riyadh. The records do show that this aircraft was one of the Spitfires that passed in the battle for bypassed over London in 1945. It may well have been flown by the equally famous commanding officer, that's the Wing Commander Rody. wonderful victory roll in the hands of the very elegant and experienced pilot Anna Walker, doing a fantastic job. And I hear her calling now as she high up, she'll dive in, and they're calling for the final pass. All far too quick for me. I could sit mesmerised by a Spitfire. There's literally hours to come. But here, give her a quick wave now as she sees the top side. She's taking a look at you down on the beach there. What a wonderful, wonderful item. You're welcome. The Big 70. Was a little bit using up a lot of space. Of course, it doesn't have the agility of modern Gen 4 fighters. The airframe design outdated, the engines don't have the power, the demitigation, all these things restricting it, so consequently not able to turn as tight, but still in its day was a very successful machine indeed. Designed to shoot down slower American bombers, it showed outstanding success when used by North Vietnamese pilots to combat American pilots. Phantoms and the F-105 Standard Chiefs, they were focused on speed and long combat range, with the MiG-17 being armed with guns as well. It outperformed the elder or the first versions of the F-4 Phantoms. You can see now the wider sweep. The first day Matthews started really putting through its paces. A wonderful sight to see. A great, almost terrific penultimate item for us here on day 3 of this 32nd airborne. This time pushing it away from itself. Demonstrating what they often refer to as carefree handling of this aircraft. aircraft, a real joy. Sits up front, can't hear it, it's the noise. Might be the one around there, which is very comfortable to do. Nice and groovy. Also a vast amount of data coverage. Structurally strong enough, of course, to withstand all those high G-forces, up to 9, -3 as well. And all that information coming into him to give him the situational awareness for the pilot. Head-up display and a helmet-mounted display as well. Combination of that data and of course the airplane providing comparative as well as the airflow breaks away from the upper wings there, giving you that marvellous sight of the evaporating air breaking away from the upper surfaces. Very quiet, very simple. Stick coming back a little bit, leading off back down to about 120, 100. A little bit of signal help inside with the canard system away from the stable. Here comes the afterburn. Really, really cool. Big lights coming on very, very shortly. Yes, see on that. Ignite the burners, giving the speed away. Totally under control there, lady on board. It's possible to lose control, of course, the computers. It is unstable at slow speeds, particularly. During his time with 6th Squadron, the flying cannon was to have taken part in the Jubilee celebration as part of the training. That can't be fair, well, pretty phenomenal, isn't it? Certainly, I know those of you will be used to the trademark departure, which is straight up to the sun. But restrictions in Gatwick. I hope you had a great day. That was the front line of the Royal Air Force there. What a performance. Domination in the mighty Typhoon. Well, that's day 3 and it's all going far too fast this year. Splendid environment, wonderful day. Please, before you get up from the beach, make sure you've got everything with you, all the kids, all the equipment and the rubbish as well. Please leave it as you found it.